Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're looking at Turbo Darkrai, one of the most popular decks in the format, one of the most powerful decks in the format, that simply gets the job done. It does pretty much the same thing in every single game, and that is trying to get a bunch of energy into play via Oblivion Wing in the early turns, in combination with Max Elixir and just manual attachments on top of that, and taking advantage of Darkrai EX's pretty efficient attacks and pretty much having a board full of them, all with 1 or 2 energies on them, ready to go, and you try and ramp up your board state. That's what's meant by a tempo deck. You can see on the right side of your screen there. The concept is that you're starting off a little bit slower, going for like 60 to 80 damage pokes, then that ramps up to 120 type range, and then when you get to the late game, it's 180 plus damage that you can dish out with your Darkrai EX. And that's pretty much how this deck functions and does well, because the more energy we simply get into play, it doesn't really go anywhere because we have Exp.Share in the list and we have Oblivion Wing and we just have manual attachments on top of everything else, that we just slowly, each turn, it becomes a bigger obstacle for the opponent to overcome. And for a lot of decks, it's too much of an obstacle, and that's why the deck is doing so well recently. So let's have a look at the list. Nothing too crazy here. There's a few interesting decisions, and I'll go over them as always, but this is a fairly standard Turbo Darkrai list. First of all, 2 non-EX Yveltal. It's a pretty decent card for certain, serves great roles in here. It's a Oblivion Wing attack for a single Dark, does 30, and attaches a Dark energy from your discard pile to one of your bench. So this is a great way of accelerating your energy in the early turns. On top of having elixirs in the deck, you can also discard them from the hand with Sycamore and Ultra Ball and get value with Oblivion Wing. Not only are you getting more energy into play quickly, but you're also doing little pokes here and there for 30 or 40 with Fury Belt. And this is really relevant damage. It can really help you out a lot. It's also a decent non-EX attacker to help us out against things like Regice, although that's not very popular right now. And he's also not to be slept on that he has the second attack, Darkness Blade. For 2 dark and a colourless, we deal 100. Flip a coin if tails, this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. With a Fighting Fury Belt on, it means we can actually one-hit KO Shaymin EXs, which is very nice. And oftentimes Yveltal will be a Pokemon that you actually put Exp.Share onto, because it's simply a decent attacker and it's a decent place to put all your energy, especially because it's a non-EX. Putting the Exp.Share on here means it's pretty much safe for the majority of the game, because if the opponent wants to deal with this card that may have 2 or 3 energy committed to it, they've had to take a non-EX knockout, and that's going to be awkward for them. So really serves a great purpose. Early game forces the 7 prize race. If they choose not to KO it, it can still be a late game threat for you with its later on attacks and just being a good target to put Exp.Share onto and forcing that 7 prize race in any way that you can. It also fairly notably has a resistance to fighting as opposed to a weakness to fighting. It's not really a huge archetype right now. Zygarde and Lycanroc are the 2 biggest ones, and those are super niche. So it's not a huge thing to note, but I guess it's something to be aware of. And yeah, it's a staple card. It's been around forever. We know that this card's really good. And from there, we just have our main attacker, Darkrai EX. We're playing 4 of it. It's a 180 HP EX basic Dark type with Psychic Resistance, which is a good point about the typing. A bad point is that we are weak to fighting. Again, not too popular, but the real thing that I note, I was really clutching at straws, as you could see, when I was looking for weaknesses for this deck. I put typing down as an awkward one, and basically typing-wise, Dark is like the same as being colourless right now, because we don't really hit anything relevant for weakness, unless we randomly catch like Lunalas and just laugh at them. It's really just as if we have nothing that we hit for weakness. So yeah, that's somewhat of a downside side to the deck, but that's really about it, because Dark Pulse is a really strong attack. For 2 colourless energies, we do 20 base plus 20 more for each Dark attached to all of your Pokemon. So our main attacker only requires 2 energy, which means that we're trying to present 2 shots in the early game. In the turns like 3 to 4, 5, we go for 2 hits, and from then on, we're trying to ramp up to 1-hit KOs. This is achieved by only attaching 2 energy onto our main attackers at a time, and it means that we can move between them with ropes, float stones, Olympia even to an extent. We never really lose energy because if ever we do suffer a knockout, we've got Exp.Shares in play, so they will continue to be put onto our bench Pokemon. So really, just it's damage that never really goes anywhere. As soon as you start hitting your elixirs and start attaching for turn, this gets pretty scary pretty quickly. Its second attack is Dark Head, but really you will never have to use this. It does 80 plus 80 more if the opponent's active is asleep, but we have no way of inducing that. So Dark Pulse is really the only way to go. And yeah, from there, we just have the simple supporting cast of one Hoopa EX. It means that simply one Ultra Ball gets us pretty much our entire setup for the game. You can just search out 2 Darkrai and a Shaymin, or go ahead and just go 3 Darkrai and slap them all down onto the bench and you're pretty much good to go. And following on from that, 2 Shaymin EX as well for the setup ability. Again, just helping us draw cards, get us out of bad hands, etc. Also good to keep it in the deck for late on to draw us into our crucial supporter cards like Lysandre or VS Seeker for the likes of the same thing. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. Only 9 Pokemon, and that just gives us room to be creative with the trainers. We're going to be playing 2 Escape Rope. This is really our only way around Jolteon. We really do suck against Jolteon, it turns out. And it is potentially concerning that we saw in Malmo that the successful Decidueye Vileplume list actually did play Jolteon in it, and that is very scary for us. I feel like it's never really worth playing Ranger in here to try and counteract that. So we're just sticking with ropes and crossing our fingers against those sorts of archetypes, really. We do have double Hex in here, so maybe we can do like Hex into rope and maybe get the... I don't know, we get a random Pokemon stuck in the active for a while and then we Lysandre back up the Jolteon later. Who knows? There are lines there that I can see. But yeah, rope is your soft answer to Jolteon, but additionally it's some nice switching. We play 7 tools in here. It's a big aspect of the deck. 2 of them are going to be float stones, which are great to actually put on your Darkrai's at times. But a lot of the time they're going to have either Fury Belt or Exp.Share on, naturally, because we have so many tools. So being able to tank a hit and then rope yourself out, forcing the opponent to find things like Lysandre, especially when it's late on in the game, is going to be nice for you. So it gives us some good maneuverability. Also is a bit of added gust as well to get those non-EXs out of the active so we can target the more valuable prizes. So yeah, double rope is pretty good. From there, lots of consistency cards. 3 Trainers Mail, 4 OBS of the important things, Elixir, Ultra Ball and VS Seeker. We're going to be playing 3 Stadium. This is where my list differs from a lot of the standard lists. We're going to be playing 1 Parallel, which is fairly standard. Some people just play 2 Parallel on their own. It is very useful. Having this reduction of bench is really good against Rayquaza and Rainbow Force, as well as being able to get rid of your own Hoopas and Shaymins, which are liabilities oftentimes. And also, even this side is very helpful against Vespiquen variants, as well as Volcanion, and even to an extent, a few water decks out there have been popping up. Even Lapras has been popping up lately. Not really as much as an attacker, so the Stadium isn't great, but just to contest the Stadium was important. So I think having a 3 count of Stadiums is important for this deck, definitely, at least. So yeah, 1 Parallel is what I'm choosing to play. Oftentimes it's a 2 count. And I'm also choosing to play Faded Town as my Stadium. My primary Stadium, where we're playing 2 of this. Anytime between turns, put 2 counters on each Mega Evolved Pokemon. I believe Megas are important and impactful in the format right now. I would say that Mega Rayquaza, Mega Mewtwo, and Mega Gardevoir are all in the top 2 tiers of the format right now. And Turbo Dark doesn't necessarily have a bad matchup against any of them, but it can definitely be tipped in your favour by putting the Faded Towns in here. And Turbo Darkrai is a sort of deck that has a lot of 50-50s, and I think if you can tilt 2 or 3 of those just with 2 tech cards, I think that's going to be really valuable to you. So I'm playing the 2 Fadeds. The more typical, the more frequently seen is going to be Silent Lab that you see in here. Silent Lab helps out more against things like Volcanion, but you'll notice that I'm playing double Hex in my list anyway. So I'm pretty content to take out the Silent Labs, feeling that I'm happy enough against the Volcanion players regardless. So, having the Faded in here, I'm just much happier against things like Mewtwo and Mega Gardevoir. It's been really helpful. It's just numbers. It's pretty simple. You're just doing more maths. Hitting more damage is always good. And if you think about how the deck tries to function, how you're trying to ramp up to these sort of numbers, it just gets you there a little bit quicker so you can start getting 1-hit KOs on the Pokemon which are most most bulky in the format, and that's particularly important against Mewtwo, because otherwise they can just damage change around you. Oftentimes we're tiptoeing around the Mewtwo player as the Darkrai player, trying to rope around their Mega so that we don't fall into the trap of getting hit with a damage change. So this way with Faded Town we get a little bit more advanced in our setup, and we can one-hit KO the Megas that much quicker, which is very nice. So onto the supporters. We're playing more supporters than typical, really. We're playing one Olympia. This isn't always seen in the list. A lot of people like to play 3 escape ropes. I like Olympia mainly just because there's Decidueye in the meta, and they like to stall things, and that really sucks for us. So having Olympia means we can get out even from Trevenant EX, which is sometimes a tech. It means that we can simply move anything that's being stalled. Things like Hoopa and stuff, we can just Olympia our way out of them, which is nice, and having it VS Cribble is also pretty good. The heal can sometimes be relevant, but it's rare that that's going to be the case. The double Hex is something that I'm playing. I feel that it's just too important. Really important to have against Decidueye, not least for trying to find it turn 1. If you're going first, you can really slow them down and just get way too ahead in the game with 2 turns of items on your side. I feel like you overwhelm them even if they start developing from turn 3, basically. So that's going to be very nice. Also, when it's like mid-game, just having Hex so that you can use your VS Seekers to either find more Hex to make yourself more tanky, basically denying all their damage, or you start hexing so that you can find Lysandre. Lysandre's a big part player in the deck as well, against Decidueye a lot of the time. Because you need to access their bench, you need to deal with their Decidueyes, you need to sometimes even KO the Vileplume if you feel like it's relevant. Maybe if they've already Hollow Hunted and they've got a Revitalize in the discard pile or something like that, it can be a valid option for you. So double Hex is going to be really nice. It also means that we're not quite as hurt by not playing Silent Lab in the list against the likes of things like Volcanion, also things like Mega Ray Quasar. So it is an important card to have. Even in Mirror to an extent, there's so many decks out there that are weak to the turn 1 Hex. It's why people like to play Silent Lab, but it just guarantees it turn 1. And where this deck is fairly slow turn 1, after you've done like your Hoopa turn 1, you can just end your turn on a Hex and be pretty content with that. So I do like having the double Hex Maniac in here. 2 Lysandre is pretty simple as well. I've actually debated at times going up to 3. It's really helpful against the Decidueye. You're never sad to see the card. It's also pretty good against random matchups. It's good in Mirror. It's good in a lot of things. Right now I've stuck with a count of 2, but I'm really close to playing 3, so just bear that in mind when you're looking to make your own changes to the list. 3N, just for some good old cycle, shuffle draw, simple stuff, consistency card. And for Sycamore, similar reasons. It can also get Darks in the discard pile for Oblivion Wing, and it's just good old-fashioned powerful draw card. Into the tools, opting to play 2 floats. I really like it over just having like 3 ropes and 1 Olympia and 0 floats. I think Floatstone is really valuable. Really great to have on your opening Darkrai. It means that you can elixir to the bench much more comfortably and promote a new Darkrai. It means that you can spread your energies a little bit more cleanly, and the first Darkrai that takes a hit, you can simply Floatstone out of there and move into your tankier Darkrai's later. And force them to take a Lysandre KO once you've already started to develop things like Exp.Share, where it becomes a lot less useful for them. So I really like the Floatstones, not least on Darkrai, also pretty handy on the Yveltal, and just for moving Hoopas and stuff in general. I've really liked having the 5 total switch cards. It's been great in this deck. 2 Fighting Fury Belts is going to help you tank up against some awkward matchups and just make it more difficult to get knocked out. The whole point of the deck is to just slowly outrace the opponent. Oftentimes we go for 2-shot, 2-shot into 1-shot. That's how we will try to end the game. Sometimes it's 1-shot a Shaymin, then go for a 2-shot on a serious Pokemon, and then finally, by the late game, we've got enough energy in play to 1-hit KO. So these are the ways we try and race as the Turbo Dark. And Fighting Fury Belt just keeps us a little bit out of range, so the opponent can't be doing that more efficiently than us, essentially. I still think Exp.Share is the most important tool to have in the deck. It just means that your energy goes nowhere. Whenever your opponent is finally taking knockouts, and let's face it, there's going to be plenty of decks that can take knockouts on Darkrai's. There's things like Mega Ray Quasar, Volcanion on the turns that you don't Hex. Even when it's a 2-shot war against other decks, they can, once they've got the 2-hit KO, you would be losing 40 damage, which would really suck for you. But if you have some of these EXP shares in play, even if they're on targets like Shaymin or Hoopa, it just keeps the damage in play, and that's all we're really worried about. So the 3 XP share, I think, is really important, just to have access to it as quickly as possible. So against other aggressive decks, you're not really falling behind against them. And finally, just 12 dark. It gives us good outs to hit our elixirs, means that we have attachments every turn. It's the standard solid baseline number that everyone has seemed to land on. At times I've actually got up to 13 dark. I've not hated it. So there we go. That is the list. There's a few discussion cards that I'd like to talk about. One of them is actually going to be the Grass Shaymin EX. I was really close in Malmo to playing a Turbo Dark list with 2 of these in my list because I like the ability Aroma of Gratitude. Once during a turn, you may heal 20 from each of your benched basic Pokemon. It's a really strong ability. It really helps out mainly against Decidueye. It actually ends up helping out against things like Mirror Matches and Mega Gardevoir as well. Other 2-hit KO wars where you can push yourself back out of the 2-shot range sometimes by having the Aroma of Gratitude. I would note that if I was going to play the Grass Shaymin, I'd probably play 2, and then I'd cut the Hoopa and go for Nest Balls, because you physically don't have enough bench space to Hoopa and put Grass Shaymins down and have enough space for your Darkrai's. It's weird that this deck is actually tight for bench space. That's the main reason I only play 1 parallel and not 2, because I really like to utilise the bench with this deck. So if I was going to consider the Grass Shaymin, which I do really consider, if you're expecting enough Decidueye Vileplume, it's actually really good against things like Espeon as well, because we already have resistance, so the heal is like a heal of 40 in a way. So many random thoughts coming in right now why this is useful, but if you just test the card, you'll see that you can get value from it. I think it's really worth considering in this deck as a Pokemon tech. Another one is going to be Oranguru. He's decent. He's great for making sure that we can finish out the game by drawing us those last few cards, maybe hit your last VS Seeker, stuff like that. Again, I think it's testing out if you want to play Hoopa or not. Hoopa's actually a card that, for one, like, it's great because it's your opening Ultra Ball and it's fantastic for you. But I've been testing out the deck without Hoopa and playing 2 or 3 Nest Balls often, and I've really enjoyed that as well, just for having the extra bench slot. And this is a card that could fill that bench slot because he gives you the late game consistency, and he's another target that doesn't mind attacking if you are to put any XP share onto him, because Psychic is not a great attack, but it's something that you can keep in mind. And yeah, could be pretty handy for you. I like Oranguru as a non-EX option if you're not feeling the Hoopa engine or you want to try out something new. Let's look at the stadiums. It's the biggest debate, I think, the biggest difference between my list and other people's. Silent Lab is the main one that people go for. It's really good if you hit it off against things like Mega Guardi, Mega Ray, Decidueye. It's great if it sticks, but really the question is, how often does it stick? And looking at like hand math and stuff like that, the amount of Trainers Mails that all of those decks play because they are speed lists, they're playing minimum 3 Trainers Mail. I think all 3 of those lists that I listed. And they're all playing 4 of their own stadiums. Sometimes Guardi plays 3. But it's pretty likely for people to bounce it turn 1. So I don't like that. And I don't feel like it's worth it. If you're trying to play this to slow people down turn 1, I don't think it does the job. However, this is still a really useful card against Volcanion. And it's really good for Mirror, because if they're the ones playing Silent Lab, you're the one who gets the lab in first. It slows them right down. It means they can't do their Hoopa shenanigans and stuff like that. So I can see its validity. Right now, I don't think... It's just not the card for me, I don't think. I prefer just having actual numbers. Speaking of actual numbers, you could just play Reverse Valley as well. It's 10 universally, as opposed to Faded Town that only works in some matchups. Sometimes it's just, you know, worse than a paint roller. So I think Reverse Valley is also an option for you. I know going back to Carl Saberhouse's list when he did well when the deck was first starting to pop up, it's just simple that numbers are numbers, and Reverse Valley helps out a few crucial ones. It means that we can one-hit KO Shaymins with this guy, even without Fury Belt. It's an extra 10, which is sometimes like equivalent to an extra energy if we're hitting for odd numbers on HP. So I can see Reverse Valley also being a viable option. In a similar means, Professor Kukui could help us get there that much quicker and get those one-hit KOs to end the game, which is cool. Center Lady is another one which could be nice. In addition to the 2 Hex, this could also be a great tech card against Decidui for undoing some of their damage and keeping you healthy. Additionally, in 2-shot wars, as I was saying with the Shaymin, the grass Shaymin, pushing yourself out of range and going for another attack is going to be really helpful sometimes, so I could see that being useful. Final card that I've already mentioned in passing is Nestball. I think Nestball's great in the deck. I think space-wise, you would probably have to cut the Hoopa if you wanted to play Nestball, but giving yourself that extra bench slot is so good. It's so good for you. It's great. Whenever you have a game where you don't have to put down Hoopa, you'll see and you'll notice how beneficial it can be to have that full bench where you can literally have 4 Darkrai, 1 Yveltal, 1 Shaymin. That's like ideal for you. Parallel City can sort of offer that to you because you can get rid of your own Shaymin and Hoopa, and then as long as you replace a stadium or your opponent does, it opens up for you. But that's relying on the opponent replacing the stadium or you finding it at the right times. There'll be times where you find the parallel in the wrong order. Maybe you have to put it down before a Shaymin. Sometimes you have to Shaymin for 1 less card because you want to hold the parallel for it. Until you can get rid of the Shaymin. So Nestball sort of changes all this. It means that you find your Pokemon that much more quickly. Extra Ball Search is great because it just means that your elixirs aren't dead in the hand and you never have to like Sycamore them away because you just have access to your Pokemon that much quicker, and it's just early game cycle. It's just a really good card that's worth testing out. Although it feels weird you taking out a Hoopa EX and still trying to be more consistent. It's a weird way of thinking, but I think it can work at times. So, enough ramble, let's go into the ladder and see how it works in action. And if we're up against the Mega Mewtwo in our first game, we are going to love the fact that we have Faded Town in here. And that is a grim hand. Good that we're getting rid of it. We do reveal that we play Fadeds. But this is typically a fairly close game. We, of course, have resistance on the Mewtwo, but we also have to play around damage change. We are going second, so we'll put down the Darkrai. We can hold this, because we might want to discard it with Ultra Ball. And the opponent leads Tauros, which is a scary card for Turbo Darkrai. But maybe it means that we're not playing against Mewtwo here. Maybe it's like Quad Tauros. We'll see. Oh, they do play Psychic Energy. Maybe it's just a tech that they happen to lead, which happens to be really frustrating for this deck. We'll figure it out. Here comes the Hoopa. And it looks like it is just regular Mega Mewtwo. Most Mewtwo players use Espeon as their GX, so it's interesting to see Tauros. Strong start from the opponent. They've got lots of Mewtwo's down. They've Shaymin. They've got the Spirit Link. There's a parallel, going to get rid of their own Shaymin and Hoopa. Oh, they end us out of such a strong hand. That's a shame. Well, that's still a really strong hand, so I can live with this. Top decking a Dark is actually really good for us as well. Now, if this wasn't our first Ultra Ball of the game, I'd be Ultra Balling away Dark and Shaymin here. But if we prize our other Shaymin, we like lose. So maybe we hold the Ultra Ball for now and play the other cards first. I'm thinking that's the line I'm liking most here. We're going to attach to the active because we'll definitely Oblivion Wing. But we'll set up here, see how good our hand is. Interesting. We can Ultra Ball away one Darkrai, one. See, again, it's the issue that if we prize a Darkrai now, we're in a lot of trouble. Maybe we just discard both Darks here and take no target from the Ultra Ball. Prized one faded. Fail the Elixir. And we'll set up for another 6 here. Ropes are interesting. Still not seeing a supporter. We don't really want a rope. I don't feel. Not feeling it. Let's go for the Trainer's Mail. These are all bad. We'll take Olympia. And we're going to Oblivion Wing for 30. And spread our energy onto different targets. Just to be safe. E-Hammer as well is actually a tech card that I should have mentioned earlier on. It's definitely viable. So, that turn was pretty slow. We could Lysandre and go 2, 4, 6, 8, 100 on this guy. Issue being, if they do Mega, they have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 down to 110. Plus energy gets them there. We could go slow with Olympia. 60 gives them 180 though. I think this is still better. Still the safer route. Just means that we have to keep spreading our energy around. So, if they are going to Mad Bull, I'd rather it be on this guy. So we'll put our energy all on our least safe target. So that it means that if they do just have it, that they're going to Mad Bull on this guy and our other guys remain fully healed. Weird logic, but we're going for it. Okay, they had it, so. Here comes a Mad Bull. Unfortunately, we've not been able to find any of our Exp shares, so we actually do get set back quite a bit with that. Off the top, sitting Exp share, great news. So 2, 4, 6, 8 to 100 is really bad. Still can't draw any cards, which really sucks. Yeah, we're in trouble here. Not drawing a supporter does kind of hurt. Don't want to commit the XP share just yet, because I don't want to put them on either of these targets. We've got the Ultra Ball for our last Darkrai in here somewhere. Okay, Taurus is going to get float stoned. More DCs come down. Their first 4 attachments are all DC. which is pretty scary, to be honest. Are we going to get end here? I feel like we might get end. Oh no, they've got Sycamore as well. Oh, Lysandre. Interesting. They could have taken a Shaymin, but they're not going for that. They're still trying to target our Darkrais. Oh, we can draw cards. That's incredible. Let's rope. And let's draw some cards here. Let's find a Darkrai. Give him an Exp.Share. And let's finally start doing some things. Just kidding. There's not much we can do here. Not going to Ultra Ball. There's no target that we want. I guess we can take another one of these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So it's going to be another Oblivion Wing prod. It's been very slow for us. Very slow. The opponent's going to replace the stadium. And they're finally going to play an end. Finally deciding it's worth trying to develop a Mewtwo this game. Here comes an Ultra Ball to do exactly that. They've actually got rid of another stadium, which is cool for us. Oh, they go for Shaymin EX. Interesting. Hoping to draw into a Mega. Here's a Trainer's Mail. For a Spirit Link, that could be what they were hunting for as well. More Floatstones coming down, this time onto another Mewtwo. And another Ultra Ball, so it looks like they've got pretty much all they need. It's their third Ultra Ball. It's their third VS Seeker as well. Mega Turbo. Gives them the KO. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. So we need to find an attachment or our Faded Town here. Shouldn't be too difficult. Can't play this stadium. I think we need to Sycamore to dig. Just has to be what we do here. Lots of energies, which is fine. Put down Hoopa. Let's get an attachment in. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, 17, 19. Okay. The comeback, question mark? Who knows? We're going to get hit with N again. It's a pretty weak end to 3. See how they did off it. I think we're in decent shape here. So we're losing in energy, which kind of sucks. And we're just going to get horn attacked. Ooh, VS Seeker. That's really good for us. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. Alright then, if you insist. It's been a really weird game. Really weird. I felt like I've done nothing and I've just won. Bizarre. There's a Sycamore from the opponent. Don't really see what they can do now. They have to like Mega for turn with this in the active to threaten like a damage change next turn. But they've got rid of 2 Mega Turbo. I guess it's reasonable. Okay. They need to Mega here. They can't not Mega. Okay, there's a Super Rod. Yep, that's exactly what they've done. So, well, saves me doing maths, I guess. We had 210 anyway, so it's fine. Didn't even need the fadeds. Take them out. That was a really weird game. Okay. You can sort of see how that deck, we do just sort of snowball on people though. We were really behind and just simply attaching every turn got us ahead and won us the game. So let's find another game. This time it's against Zupid Zut. And we get to go first, which is cool. What a hand this is. Don't you just love playing the most consistent deck in format? I know I do. Oh, this is beautiful. This is just what we want on turn 1. Damn it, game. We're gonna get donked. Could happen. It could happen. How many Pokemon are we looking at? Only 2 so far. So they're at 50, they're at 60, they're at 70. Need some more unknowns, they need some more acros or ultra balls. Just 70? Oh, the survival. The top deck. The dream. We're back in the game. Okay. Let's find another game. Where? Skillfully outskilled by all the skill that we just saw. Let's go first again and see what happens. Well, okay, this hand is excellent now. As soon as we hit the Ultra Ball, this hand becomes excellent. Oh my goodness, this is a good hand. It's made up for last game, I guess. Not going to go for Shaymin, because I've already mentioned a lot of the time, if you don't have to Hoopa, don't Hoopa, because bench slots are really precious for this deck. Okay, dreams are being had all over the place here. This is beautiful. Ooh, do I want to hex him turn 1? Our hand is so strong that I feel like we can get away with it. Let's do it. Kapow. Let's see how they like a turn 1 hex. Because it's a Garb deck, I'm thinking it's either Yveltal, Mewtwo, or Darkrai. Ooh, special charge in Ninja Boy. Okay, so maybe like Tauros. Okay, it's Tauros again. Our good friend Tauros. Maybe Tauros hammers. Very good. Very good. So, we're actually more likely to attack with Yveltal here if we don't attach to Shaymin, because we only have 2 elixirs left, and we still have lots of switch cards. We have 4 switch cards. So, let's do this with all our switch cards and hit an elixir. Don't you just love when... Damn it, game. We've drawn into a lot of our energy as well. I'm not sure this elixir is going to hit. Never punished. Do I attach a Fury Belt to Shaymin to protect it? I think I do. We'll hold this. See a Sycamore now. Fury Belt to Tauros. It's going to be a mission to get over this guy. Filling Town putting in work right now. They're going to Ultra Ball some more Ultra Balls. Go for a Shaymin. Get it in before they go Garb, I guess. Don't really know what they're looking for here, other than hammers, I guess. Oh, it's a dragon build. Interesting. Another Fury Belt, this time onto Shaymin. Interesting. Another Elixir. Maybe we do play Hoopa then. I think I want to N. No, their hand size is low. Could still look to find a switch card if possible. Rope would be great. No such luck. Do I attach this Exp.Share to Hoopa? I don't think it's worth it just yet. So we're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Still a long way from dealing with this Tauros. Gonna get Lysandre. They're gonna take the Shaymin. The easy prizes, it looks like. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, we need to Yveltal it up once more. Two Lysandre's gone, but no VS Seekers. I think we're just going to fire off an N here. I'm not going to commit these because I still want the space for Darkrai, number 4. We've already lost a prize, so it doesn't make sense to put down this guy because we'll lose our non-EX anyway. So we'll play N here. Missing some stuff, but that's okay. Spread our energies around as much as possible. Let's see if they hit the VS Seeker. DC to Shaymin. There is a VS Seeker, so we're going to get Mad Bulled. Down goes another Darkrai. Oh, they go for the EXP shared one. Interesting. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay. Let's go in. And we'll play N as well. Stop them getting any more Shaymins down. Or Hoopa or any of those shenanigans. We can't afford to put our own Shaymin down. until we're at the win, like until we win the game. I still play this male. VS Seeker is options. Have we got Lysandre in here? Yeah. We'll take VS Seeker. And we'll just Dark Pulse. Let's see. Oh, that's why we couldn't find our switch cards earlier. I was salty, but it turns out they were just prized. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Yeah, so we're at 180 again. They need to find Fury Belt, otherwise they're in a lot of trouble all over again. VS Seeker could help them out. Oh, here's some hammers. First of probably 4. Gets a tails, which is good. And they have Sycamore. But they still could be in a lot of trouble if they don't have Fury Belt here. There's Double Dragon, Trainer's Mail. 2 belts gone. Okay, there's the Crushing. That gets a Heads. That's going to be the active. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of our 12. Just going to get Sky returned. That seems really weak. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we have 2 targets here. And we're drawing 3 off it. Alternatively, I discard these cards as well and draw 6. It's probably better. Maybe I could have done that smarter. Maybe I could have done my first Ultra Ball to get the Yveltal, then discard that Yveltal, and then instead of me drawing 6 now, I'd be drawing 5, but I'd keep the VS Seeker. We're going to thin some more, because these are all useless cards now. Do I follow up with N here, or do I keep my last VS? I think we keep our last VS Seeker. I think it's just safer. We only actually had 1 out, because we couldn't... Oh no, we could play the Fury Belt, because I didn't Chaos Wheel. I'm just rambling. Right, let's see what they can do. Deck plays no acceleration, so all they can really do is throw a Taurus at us. And that's literally what's happening to us right now. Gonna get Horn attacked for 70. So our line has to be we have to Oblivion Wing here. They've already GX'd, right? So we still have our last floatstone in deck. Here's going to be a crushing. Another crushing. Gets tails. I think they went 50-50. See a Fury Belt on Shaymin. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I think we got them. I think they need to retreat this Tauros, but I don't see a safe place. So we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that's the active, right? Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So paranoid. 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 160. Just be a man and just hit the active. Well done us. We got there. Just in time. Right, let's have one more game. Because our second game was non-existent. Seen a lot of Tauros on the ladder today. 2 of our 3 games have been Tauros. And we're not great at dealing with Tauros, to be honest. It's kind of why we play the rogues. Ooh, Volcanion. This should be a good test for us. See how double hex works, etc. Have to be careful about Salamence EX as well. So, we're going to see Elixirs to kick us off, then a big old Sycamore. Play Ranger, which is interesting. Most Volks just play Olympia now instead. Well, that's a Volk ready to go, it looks like. Just somewhat scary. I'm going to Hoopa here, despite my fears of Salamence. They've played some Elixirs already, so it's less likely that one's going to like come out of nowhere. Going to lower our hand size simply to try and find some energies and stuff like that, elixirs and whatnot. Well, we find energy. I might just Sycamore this hand. Seems really good to do. We get Oblivion Wing value, and hopefully it means that we can find some Exp shares as well. Get the Hex in the discard pile early. Seems good to me. Failing an Elixir is kind of sad with our stats. Fury Belt at least forces quite a few cards from them if I put it active. Seems okay. Kind of slow. Missing the Elixir hurt us. Opponent never whiffs. And they're going to follow up with another Sycamore. They have a rope, which is very scary. At least force them to have steam ups. We have, well, okay. Yeah, it's going to be Shaymin digging time. Catcher, that's scary. Damn. Catcher Volk is hard to deal with. Let's see if they got the energies or not. Oh wow, we tank it. Oh no, we don't. Sorry, I thought I saw Volcanic Heat. It was actually Steam Up. Yeah, they do have it. Okay. Never mind, we're in trouble again. And they have Retrieval for an attachment for turn. That's really grim for us. Really scary. I think it should go here. Okay, they're going to spread them out. Interesting. Well, there's two prizes. Not bad, I guess. Now then, is is N that useful here? I think N's more useful than a Hex this turn. Because they need to find a lot to move this guy, get more steam ups going, etc. So we'll throw down an N here. Hope to get some more EXP shares our side as well. We do hit one at least, which is good. Other floatstones welcome as well. Not going to play the float just yet, but it's good to have the option. Let's get Dark Pulse in, just for 80. I feel like we're getting hit with a power heater this turn. Then I can float up and maybe move out of here if I find more elixirs. Our hand's not very good though. Oh, is it going to be a pay retreat? That would be really big for us. Undo some of that early tempo. Oh, they have a switch. Okay. Never mind. Never mind then. Ooh, continuing to attach active is pretty scary. Oh, just a retreat? Okay. Oh, and they have retrieval. Gross! They've done things again. They've done those big things again. Those K to the O's. Scary. Very scary. Well then. This hasn't been going great, has it? I think we're going for a baby Yveltal knockout here. It's the safest thing we can do. Got to try and combine it with like parallel and N or something. More important for us to find parallel, so I'll play the Elixir first. We don't want any of these cards. We'll take one because it's not parallel. We can't even take Faded because we can't put it into play. Whereas these are things that we can put into play. If I Hex here, how safe am I? They've lost 3 Elixirs. Then the only thing that beats me is Elixir from hand plus attachment from hand plus switch card plus Lysandre. Their hand has to be that precise. I don't think they have it, so we'll just fire off the Hex before the end, I think. That's Darkness Blade. Getting heads is actually a big deal for us here. Getting Lysandre's kind of a big deal as well. Kind of. So is it simply a power heater turn? Oh, they have Scorched Earth. Scary. Okay, power heater for 30. So now they need to have switch card, Lysandre, energy. If I Sycamore, they need to have switch card, Lysandre, 2 energy, as long as I find the 50-50 of getting the right stadium. Could play N and limit that out to get all of those things, and go for an Oblivion Wing here. That might be our best route. Let's go for the N. To have reasonable chance of getting ropes as well. Ropes would be very good. So we can actually hit some valid targets. Okay, we at least get rope. Couldn't find any of our counter stadiums. Haven't played one. Can't get rid of this Scorched Earth, which could be annoying. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Or I continue to go for Darkness Blade. The only reason I don't want to go for Darkness Blade again is because we could flip tails and be really sad. Doing this, though, means that they just need like all the energies up the wazoo, and they could draw like a Sycamore or a Fisherman or something. Okay, not too happy about it, but we still have to just be safe above all else right now. Let's try and flip more heads, shall we? The best approach to Pokemon. Okay, you got tails. That's fine. We still have a rope, right? Still have a rope in here. We'll see how they did off the end. Energy? Don't be a Sycamore. Oh my goodness, that's so gross. That's so gross. Look how many cards they had, man. Sadness. Okay. Well, that's pretty sad. We just got volked. Don't really think there was much else we could have done there as well. Just the fact that we couldn't deny those things earlier on. Like, we had how many cards left in deck? Like, less than 10. And 3 of our stadiums were in there. I mean, only one of them, only Parallel is what protected us there from that exact 2-card combo, forcing like a 4-card combo from them. Which is a shame. But yeah, weird game as well. The Volt just had a lot of tempo on us. Like, they had a turn 2 KO. Well, turn 2 KO on Hoopa, turn 3 KO on Darkrai. That was like big. That was really big. So yeah, and that was before we developed our Exp.Shares. And that's why we play 3, so we can find them early, and we just didn't. But anyway, that's Turbo Darkrai. Hope we gave a good representation of it. Let me know what you think of this list, how you would change it potentially. Any other thoughts about the deck? How strong is it in the current meta? Does it need to tech for things like Decidueye? Does it need to play the Silent Labs just to have a chance against Volk, or is the double Hex enough? You just saw that I just got torn apart by a Volk. But who knows? At the same time, we couldn't find our stadiums all game anyway, so it wasn't really a factor in that game regardless. But there we go, guys. It's definitely a strong contender in the format. It has close to 50-50 against almost everything. And it's just very consistent and fast and efficient. And that's what has been the reason why it's been doing so well recently. So, leave a like to this video if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. For now, though, it's been Joe from Omnipoke, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.